Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Wrestling, where I review wrestling-related things, all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So this last week was WWE's second biggest show of the year, SummerSlam. Let's get into it. The opening match, the Who Cares match. Logan Paul versus Ricochet. I hate to say a Who Cares match because big fan of Ricochet, have been for a long time, but I'm not at all a fan of Logan Paul. And this match did not at all change the way I feel about him. Especially the commentary. The commentary team was really badly trying to shove it down our throats that we should love Logan Paul. That we should appreciate what a good athlete he is. I don't care what a good athlete he is. He's a piece of garbage. And during the match, Logan Paul even brought out a new move that he calls the Hogan Paul, which is his type of big boot and leg drop. And whereas I would never say that Hogan was a master of that move, did a lot better than Paul did. At the end of the match, one of Logan Paul's friends, I don't know who because I don't care, slipped him some brass knuckles, and he hit Ricochet with them and got the pin. Because that's really what I expected this match was going to be. I knew Logan Paul was going to win because he hasn't won the last few matches he had. They had to feed him some opponent. Sad to me that it had to be Ricochet, but whatever. If Logan Paul's in the match, I'm sorry, the best I'm going to give it is a 1. Yeah. Then the rubber match of Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes, which hopefully means it's the last match between Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes. I will give it this. It was good. Probably their best outing. Throughout the match, the storytelling was fantastic. Like Cody Rhodes being beaten outside and trying to give himself a breather by constantly breaking the count until Brock Lesnar finally got frustrated and came outside and F5'd him onto the floor. Then he still got up and broke the count, so Brock Lesnar F5'd him through the announce table. And that still didn't work. Cody Rhodes still didn't quit, and these two battled and battled. Brock Lesnar doing suplexes, both of them doing Kimuras, and finally ended when Cody Rhodes got a triple crossroads and pinned Brock Lesnar, making him the winner of this rivalry. Especially because at the end of it, he apparently had gained Brock Lesnar's respect. So like I said, even though I was never into this feud, you can't deny that the end of it and this match were both really good, so I'll go ahead and give this one a 4 out of 5. And the fourth match was the Slim Jim Battle Royal. Too many contestants, I'm not going to tell you everybody that was in it. Sorry. I was honestly surprised that this was on the main card. Usually they put something like this in the kickoff show, and there's a reason for that. There was nothing special about it. It was just a battle royal. It wasn't even leading to the winner getting any real prize like a title shot or something. Just bragging rights. If you're going to put a battle royal on the main show, at least some kind of a trophy. Then again, it was called the Slim Jim Battle Royal, so what prize were they going to get? A Slim Jim? Okay, I would compete for one of those. I will tell you, it came down to the final two being Sheamus and LA Knight, until LA Knight eliminated Sheamus and won the Slim Jim Battle Royal. Which, yeah, okay, they're pushing LA Knight. I like that. Hopefully this will lead to a title shot of some sort, but I really don't care. Really don't care. Honestly, to me, the Battle Royal was like the bathroom break of the show. Even though I was watching on Peacock, don't worry, I don't pause. I'll just go to the bathroom now, since this doesn't matter. 2 out of 5. Yeah. Then with MMA rules, Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler, which I'm not crazy about either. At one point during this fight, Baszler looked hurt, so the referees were checking on her to see if she could continue, and of course Ronda Rousey doing her little flip-out thing, slammed the referees, because that's what Ronda Rousey does. And soon after, Baszler got the Kirifuda clutch, choked out Ronda Rousey till she passed out, and won the MMA fight. However, I was very disappointed in this. I didn't want to see these two have an MMA fight. I wanted to see these two have a wrestling match. I get they both have MMA backgrounds, but they're now wrestlers. And ultimately, I've talked about this before, you can add some MMA moves into wrestling and vice versa, but I don't want an MMA rules fight in a wrestling show, especially because those are supposed to be real fights, not predetermined. It's never worked. Even back in the day when they used to try to occasionally have a boxing match in the middle of wrestling, it was always a stinker. And in this case, I wouldn't say it was a full-on stinker, but it wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that great, and I really felt it was a waste. These two should have had a wrestling match. They could have put on a wrestling classic. Instead, this heated rivalry match was just okay. So ultimately, with the disappointment, I couldn't even give it a 3. I would honestly only give this one another 2 out of 5. Then finally we pick things up a little bit with the Intercontinental Championship. Drew McIntyre challenging Gunther. This was a really good match. It was a classic back and forth match between two great wrestlers that we like seeing mix it up. I went into this thinking Gunther has to win because he is very close, like about a month away from breaking the Honky Tonk Man's record and being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. However, at one point I was a little scared he was going to lose, because after 3 attempts, Drew McIntyre finally hit a Claymore. But Gunther kicked out. And even to finish the match, Gunther got a splash, followed by a big lariat, followed by 2 power bombs to finally pin Drew McIntyre. And hopefully Gunther will go on to be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Because Honky Tonk Man's record has been on there for too long, especially for, sorry, but a not very interesting title reign during its time. This match, I was happy it finally picked it up. I would give it a 4 out of 5. And then the rematch from Money in the Bank for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Finn Balor challenged champion Seth frickin' Rollins. I will give it this. It was better than the Money in the Bank match, but not by a whole lot. They had a decent match until Damian Priest came out, and once again, Balor figured that he was going to try and cash in his Money in the Bank contract, so it distracted him. But in reality, all of Judgment Day was coming out to help Finn Balor. Damian Priest was even trying to slide him the briefcase to hit Seth Rollins behind the referee's back. And because of the delay when Finn Balor finally tried to do it, it ended up backfiring as Seth Rollins got the stomp onto Finn Balor onto the case, and then got the pin and retained his WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Like I said, ultimately it was good, but still not what I was expecting from these two. I was really expecting these two, like they did 7 years ago at SummerSlam, to go out there and tear the house down. But they didn't. Just like Money in the Bank. They just went out and had a good match. Good enough to where I would give it a 3 out of 5. Yeah! Then a triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka versus Bianca Belair. Which I thought was weird. The champion, in my opinion, should always come out last. Maybe first. But in the middle. But despite that, this was a great match. Drama-filled. In my opinion, match of the night. You could tell it was important to Charlotte Flair that she beats everybody. Like, for example, when Asuka got Belair in the Asuka lock, and Charlotte Flair took that as an opportunity to do a roll-up, trying to pin Asuka with Belair on top. But they kicked out. Then later, Charlotte Flair goes to the top rope, does a moonsault onto both of them, tries to pin both of them at the same time. But they kicked out. She even at one point attempted to do a figure 8 on both of them. But there's just no physical way that was going to happen. But throughout the match, Bianca Belair's knee is bothering her, and Charlotte Flair gets her all by herself into the figure 8, and then Asuka sprays mist into Charlotte Flair's eyes, giving Belair a chance to roll up Asuka, get the pin, and become the new WWE Women's Champion. But it wouldn't last, because as she was celebrating, Io Sky's music started playing, and she came out to cash in her Money in the Bank contract, with Bayley right behind her, making sure that Charlotte Flair and Asuka did not get involved. And then after Io Sky hit Bianca Belair in the knee, got to the top rope, did her moonsault, and got the pin, successfully cashing her Money in the Bank and leaving SummerSlam as the WWE Women's Champion. Like I said, this one was exciting. This one I would say was match of the night. I would give it a 5 out of 5. Yeah! Then the main event that I had very low expectations for. Tribal Combat for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. The winner would also leave as the Tribal Chief. I guess we should consider it a treat that Roman Reigns was actually defending his title for the first time since WrestleMania, but I don't consider that a treat. Kind of consider that a slight as a fan myself. And it was the same crap that we have been seeing for the last 3 years. Roman Reigns going out there, yes, having a great match, but not being able to get it done by himself. Because in the middle of the match, out comes Solo Sikoa, attacking Jey Uso. Jey Uso fights off Sikoa, even puts Sikoa through the announce table. so that it's just him and Roman Reigns. But at this point, I'm still not convinced that Jey Uso is going to win. I know a lot of people were. They thought that's how this was going to end, with Jey Uso being the one to unseat him. I knew it wasn't going to happen. And I knew it wasn't going to happen because Roman Reigns beat him, but because somebody interfered. Because then, as Jey Uso was about to pin Roman Reigns after doing the splash, out came a mystery figure who pulled Jey Uso out of there. And it turned out to be Jimmy Uso, his brother. The one who first left the bloodline. The one who Roman Reigns just injured. I can't say I saw it coming that it would have been Jimmy, but it didn't surprise me either. So apparently the Usos are done, because he super kicked Jey, threw him in. Roman Reigns got a spear onto the table, got the pin. And yet again, the same way he's been retaining his championship every single pay-per-view that he's defended his championship, which thank God lately isn't very often, he retains his championship. It was as predictable as could be. Honestly, if they're going to keep giving us the same old thing over and over again, then I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. So, SummerSlam 2023 overall, I wouldn't even go say it was good. It was bad. Yes, there was a 5, a couple of 4s, and a 3, but there was also a 1, a few 2s. The entire night, even the good matches, were very predictable. There was nothing thrilling. There was nothing exciting. Except for the Women's Championship match, there wasn't a whole lot to really grab my attention and make me have to keep my eyes glued onto the screen. I don't like the constant special Logan Paul crap. I kind of just wish they would stop with it. The fans don't approve, and no matter how much they tell us we should, we're not approving, so let it go. We had a match I was interested in seeing when it first was announced of Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, but they had to ruin it by turning it into an MMA match instead of a wrestling match. And the main event was predictable. Why was it predictable? Because it's the same thing we have been seeing every single time he defends his championship, which lately is not very often. This is the first time his championship has been defended since WrestleMania. And honestly, we should never go from WrestleMania to SummerSlam without a championship match. But again, whereas everybody was like, oh, but we thought maybe Jey was going to win, I never once believed that Jey was going to win. I think it's pretty obvious at this point, they're planning to have Roman Reigns surpass Bruno Sammartino's reign and become the longest reigning champion of all time. Which is sad because there's going to be a little cliff note under there going, but he got to a point that he rarely defended it, and he never once defended it without help. And that doesn't help the champion. It makes the champion look weak, that they can never get the job done by themselves. Especially because as good as Jey Uso is, it is not out of the realm of possibility that Roman Reigns could defeat him without any help. But he had a lot of help. And even the twist they tried to bring at us, again, I didn't see it coming, but it didn't shock me either. I wasn't sitting there going like, oh my God, Jimmy! I was sitting there going like, oh, okay, so they're doing that. That was my reaction when I saw it. So, really, this SummerSlam was a big, huge letdown. I would give it a 2 out of 5. Yeah. So there you have it. That's my wrestling review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like. Hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications for when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of SummerSlam 2023. Love you guys.